This microphone, that's good. Do that. Get rid of that. Let's do that. What are you doing? That. Where is my... Oh, dang. No. I hate that now when you drag stuff, Mac wants to, like, if you put it too close to a corner, it wants to just blow the thing and totally maximize it. It's like I'm trying to get you set up so I can do something, and then you suddenly want to blow the whole window back out and reset all the work I just did.
Mm.
Okay. So this is going to be a bit of a marathon, but we'll try to keep these short. So let me get my lighting a little different here. It's the standard, got to set all my crap up. My remote studio, as it were. Okay, let me get the light on. All right. Now I'm all bright and lit. All that good stuff. Let's do it like that. Let's see. There we go. Okay. You want to do the wrap up first? You want to? How do you want to do it? You want to do the weekly challenge part first, or you want to do the wrap and then the season launch, or how? What order are you feeling today?
Hang on. I just got the summary for Matt.
Cool. That will be
that out there. Sorry, it's been a week. More construction woes.
Yeah, I saw that.
Kind of pipe to nowhere. So we think there was a hydrant burning somewhere in the yard.
Those are always fun.
Oh yeah, Matt was the AI guy.
I pass. Matt Soltow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Telepass. He is the. They do integrations and stuff like that. It's funny. I was just because I've still been. I've like connected with him a couple of times, had a few calls, and then got to a point where it's like, okay, now we need to do an NDA, and they sent me like a crazy restrictive NDA, and then it's like it just sort of went quiet after that. We sort of went back and forth. We actually had a fun little. We had a call where the two of us, me and Matt, were sitting on the call, walking through the NDA with AI, walking through it and saying, okay, well, this is what they say, and this is how they want to do it, and it was helping us. Neither of us being legal experts, it was helping us put together like a combo one that just fit all of the needs. So it was pretty amusing.
That's funny.
Good use of AI. Okay, so let's see where is.
But yeah, we've got his, and then we got was it Daria? Yeah, and Daria could be next season if we want it to be. But
I think we probably will. I think.
Okay.
I don't know where we're at episode wise, but this is Matt Levenhagen. Okay, this is a different Matt. Okay, all right. So yeah, this one we just talked to last week. Okay, cool. Yeah, this will be a fun one. Okay, so you want to do that first? You want to do the weekly challenge first?
Yeah, let's just get that out of the way, and then Sorry, allergies are still bad. And then do the season close, and then we'll figure out what the heck we're doing next season.
Yeah, we'll wing it. That's the best way to do it. So we'll just press record, and hey, everybody, we're here. And this is going to be one of those fun ones because we're sort of doing a marathon session, getting a few together at the same time. So we will probably look very similar from this episode and a couple of others, although we may not put them out in the exact same order that we record them. So we'll see how this goes. That'll be one of those like, where's Waldo kind of things, whatever. It's a puzzle. You can figure out what did we record and when. And so, welcome to Friday. Welcome to our weekly challenge. And this week, we talked with Matt Levenhagen. And this is going to be a fun one. This was, I actually, as I mentioned, have had a couple of conversations with him. Great time, great. This is like some of that stuff that I think is really great for all of us to think about, to chew on, because this is how we become, literally how we become better developers, better business owners, and better serve our customers. So we will dive right in and just say, hello, welcome. Welcome back to Building Better Developers, Developreneur, the podcast, although this is the bonus Friday challenge, weekly challenge section that we're going to do. I'm Rob Broadhead, one of the founders of Building Better Developers, Developreneur, also the founder of RB Consulting, where we help you organize your chaos before your chaos explodes, essentially. So if you're stepping into a project, if you are at a point where you're trying to figure out what you want to do next, technology-wise, you need to scale, you need to grow, you don't know what that's going to look like, give us a call and we're going to help you make sure that you make the best use of that investment and don't end up going, where did all that money go, 3 to 6 months down the road. Good thing and bad thing. It is exactly what I just talked about. Good thing is that we're going to like crank out a couple episodes really quick here, which is sort of nice because our schedules can be a little bit challenging to connect on. The bad thing with all of that is it means we're going to be cranking through a couple episodes, and sometimes it can be a little tough, particularly coming up with the good thing, bad thing when we have it like back to back and stuff like that. So makes for a fun time. But we're going to see how it goes here and give Michael round one of his good thing, bad thing as he introduces himself.
Hey everyone, my name is Michael Meloche. I'm one of the co-founders of Developreneur, Building Better Developers. I'm also the founder of Envision QA, where we create reliable, tailored software that helps you work smarter, scale faster, and stay in control of your business. Good thing, bad thing. I'll start with the bad thing. I am somehow coming down with the seasonal cold. I'm coughing, hacking. So if I go on mute a lot, that's why. Or if you see me like go off screen, I'm probably coughing up a lung. Good thing. A lot of construction projects going on, starting to get some of these things knocked out. The house is starting to stabilize and look nice. So looking forward to the weekend.
That is always something to look forward to. And it being a Friday, it is practically the weekend. For you guys, maybe not so much for us. We'll see how that goes. So back to this week. We talked with Matt Levenhagen, and this was his podcast is the Builders. I believe it's called just the Builders Podcast, and this was really a good both part one and part two of this week were good builder episodes. We really talked about the process itself. We didn't get, yes, we got a little bit into the technical side of AI and stuff like that. There was like a little bit of minor geek out, but I think this was actually a critical conversation to have and to share with you, because this is where we're talking about the reality of AI, not the buzz and not the, comparing the different LLMs or what model does this and all of that kind of crap, because that's really not the purpose. It goes back to what we say all the time is, what's your why? Why are you doing this? If you're just looking at AI to look at AI, cool, go have fun, knock yourself out. If you're actually trying to do something, then you need to start with, what is this something that you're trying to do? And I think that's where this really is a great introduction into AI, and actually not just knowing how to spell it or being able to, try to impress somebody from a technical thing. Like, I know AI because I know what LLM stands for or something like that. I don't know. Those kinds of things that are the bleeding edge, people just trying to impress somebody when they really don't know much about it, when they've done like, some little rinky dink stuff. Yeah, that may be okay to get somebody's attention, but this is what we're talking about to actually know it, leverage it, use it. And he has a great way of doing it. You start with some problem. Start with something that you're going to solve. That like you know email or outreach or sorting through data that you've got of some sort. Start with that. Start with something simple. Build a solution to it. We've actually shown examples. We've got the case study out there for how we pulled all of the data, all of the audio and all that kind of stuff into the developer site so that now you have the catalog that you can go search for and do that stuff. That was all AI generated. It was the kind of stuff that would have taken us a long time. We've talked about it multiple times. I've had it on my to-do list for probably a decade. And this is a much better way to do it. It was a way that now it allowed the technology and the time to sort of just disappear. And so it was really like, what's the problem? Let's solve the problem. And technology, sort of like that, was ready to go. Yeah, it took a week and a half or 2 weeks to actually load all this stuff, but building the pipeline, very straightforward. And that's really what we got into with Matt. Is it's the kind of stuff where it's like, okay, well, let's look at what you do on a regular basis. And it's sort of frustrating because we talk about this all the time. We talk to people come out and will come on and we'll say, how do you get started? What is it that you want to do? And we've talked about this with automation way before AI was really a thing, or at least the hot topic. It's what are you doing on a regular basis? Where are you spending your time? That's where you want to look at ways to reduce the time you're spending there. And as you do that, then it's going to allow you to actually look at AI as a tool and not as I'm doing AI, because doing AI is the latest, flashy text on a web page or something like that. It really doesn't help things to just say like, okay, I put AI on it or I layered AI on it. And yes, I'm saying that with all of these apps that I know that they're just like, now we have AI. It's like, okay, cool. You've got AI. And there are a lot of stories out there where they've put AI on it. They weren't paying attention and they've gotten themselves into trouble. There's, stories about the bots that have destroyed all of their data and all their backups. There's all kinds of fun stuff like that. So don't jump into it just to jump into it. It's like jumping into playing with shooting a gun when you don't really know maybe even what end the bullets are coming out of. So you want to come into this with a reason to do it and then figure out if AI will fix it. Honestly, I think there's plenty of cases where you don't even need AI to do it. AI is just going to help you implement faster. It's going to allow you to, if it is a technical solution, if it's writing code or something like that, or scripts of that sort, it can crank that stuff out for you. That's the intro. That's my opening salvo here. So now I'll toss it over to you, hopefully without too much cold stuff slowing you down.
No, so I really like this episode because with all the talks we've had this season about AI, this one really got into very explicit detail on what the problem was, what he was trying to solve, and then he got into how he solved it. Not totally giving away the trade secrets, but he really walked through his journey of why he did certain things, why this worked with AI, why this didn't work with AI. And then interestingly enough, he talked about building his own private AI to protect some of the private data, but he still has wires up where he still talks to public AI and things of that nature, which is fun to me because you and I have already started kind of doing that. And it's like fun. It's like, okay, cool. We can almost geek out on this, but then you start getting into, oh, wait, I haven't thought about that. I didn't know about that. And then it makes you really start thinking, okay, well, we have moved on from using AI as a tool. There are certain things that we still haven't really scratched the surface on where we can use AI. You've talked about, yes, it'll help you automate things, it'll help you organize things, but really to automate your business, to turn your whole business around. This was a great conversation because he really walked through his thought process on how he kind of broke it down, how he went through it, which if you haven't listened to the interview yet, go back and listen to the interview, because this is one of those discussions where it's not super high level, but we're not geeking out at the ultimate details. So you really get that journey through how he went through this step by step. And I did throw out a couple of case studies. It's like, okay, like, hey, how did you do this? How are you pulling this in? So I did pull it back a little bit more for developers, but overall, it was a wonderful conversation about AI and leveraging AI for the business. And it was just very nice to see someone talk about their journey in a way that made so much sense. It's like almost anyone can do this. Um, and really, you and I have seen that, yeah, you put a little thought process into this, you can do it. You just have to get past the tool and understand the why of what it is that you're trying to solve, and try not to get too lost in the bells and whistles, because that is one of the, I guess, one of the issues I have with AI sometimes, because it lets you go so fast. Sometimes you go down rabbit holes very quickly that you don't need to go down, or you wouldn't have gone down for a while. You can almost go down a rabbit hole from the beginning. You got to make sure you put those guardrails in to make sure that, am I still doing the why? And that's where having kind of your private AI, having your public AI, and really building that memory for your own internal systems helps your systems understand you more, and you can build those guardrails.
Yeah, this is really where I get there are a couple of key things. There is one is like Matt is a technical guy, but he's also not a deep technical guy. I mean, he's built websites and stuff like that, and done a lot of stuff. So it's not like he doesn't know what he's doing. It's not like he doesn't know code or anything. But he's also, I think, more coming at it from a business owner point of view than a software developer point of view. And it really was, he scratched the itch of how do I make my business better, as opposed to how do I become a better developer, in a sense. And I think this is a key lesson to come out of this, because I mean, this is the conversations I had with him months ago, were it was one of the things that is the initial seeds for for Chip that we have on our. You can go check out the RB Consulting site and look at the employees and stuff, and you can see Chip, who is out there, and it was pretty much the same. It's sort of the same thought process. It's like, okay, this is some stuff that we need to do. These are some things I don't like to do. These are some things that I think I can do better. And I have come across now a couple other organizations, usually people, owners, founders, that have something like this. It's referred to sometimes as your business operating system, is more of the process version of it, that is without technology. That's what you're trying to model. But some people also refer to it as a second brain and things like that. And when you start training it properly, when you start really thinking about how you do things and why you do things, and start putting that into the system, then it can mimic you very well. It is amazing, especially as AI has developed, has moved forward in the last few months. It's amazing how much it can put stuff out almost instantly, and I'll go through it and I'm like, wow, that sounds like something it looks exactly like something I would write, my style, my tone, except for it would have taken me, an hour, a half hour, an hour to go through it and do all the little revisions and the tweaks and stuff like that. And probably I'd still miss a detail or two here that are, because we get, AI does it too, but we get lost. We get a little bit, we lose a little bit of our focus. If there's 3 points we want to make, then we make them, but sometimes we don't make them clear enough, or, we make a 3.5 point, something along those lines. I think this was, it goes back to, that's what I really loved about this, is that it wasn't about the models. It really wasn't about AI at the end of the day. It wasn't about the coolest tool out there or anything like that. It was about what are the things that I do in my business? What does my business need? How do I do those better? And AI happened to get him there. Now it does, if you have ADHD or something like that, it does make it very difficult, because you You can go down a lot of rabbit holes. It is amazing. And this is, personally, I don't know. I bet I've got a dozen documents I basically were like, stop here. We need to review this at another point. This is not, I don't need to go down this rabbit hole right now, but it's stuff that I have to revisit. I think he ran into a similar thing that I've seen as well. And I've seen how a couple of people run into this, is that where you get into it and you realize how much you can do. And the next thing you know, you're doing, 6 or 10 things at once, and you're diluting your productivity. Basically, you are busy, you're kicking butt on busyness, but as far as being productive, you're not, because you're spinning wheels. And a lot of times, because it allows you to spin stuff up very quickly and then very quickly cycle through it, what you end up doing is you're reworking and reworking and reworking instead of get it right the first time, or think through it a little deeper. Now, it is awesome for proof of concepts, MVPs, and things like that. To say, well, more proof of concept than MVP. If you want MVP, you probably need to back up, spend some time on the design, and think about, what does it look like when it's done. And this is such an awesome practice for anybody that's out there as a developer, because it really is what is the problem we're solving? What does the solution look like? You need there is no AI, there's no tool, there's no platform, there's no framework, there's no stack, none of that. Problem, solution. What does that look like? And then thinking through, how do I get from the problem to the solution, which is, honestly, I think is going to be the next big wave of stuff, is because people are like, oh, I just started A and then I end up at B. But there's actually 10 steps there, and there's all these handoffs, and there's all the data that's involved. And it's all the stuff that has made software complex for the last 20 years is what we're running into AI. It's just, I think, pushing us there. It's getting us there faster, because now it's not taking us 3 to 6 months to get something out there. It's taking us, I don't know, maybe 3 to 6 days. And now you're very quickly getting that feedback and then having to turn it back around. So love what he gave us in this. Like I said, I love that it was so practical. It's one of these, and it's really where I think we're going to go with the challenge. But I want to throw that back to you, Michael, before we throw that out for the challenge for this week.
Yeah, one of the things that I have found useful is sometimes you can't articulate your why. Have you run into that? At this point, maybe not, but early on working with AI, you're trying to ask it questions, you're trying to pose your why in a clear way, but sometimes AI still hallucinates, or it takes you quite a while to get to where you're trying to go. I found that working with AI to understand the why better, to get it to understand me better, I work with prompts. I actually start out with, write me a template prompt for this type of problem. And then I go in and I change the prompt to fill it in more of my problem. And then I start with AI. Like I've gone that approach now because it gets me there faster than trying to just go through the back and forth in those rabbit holes. But after the conversation with Matt, it took me even further, because now I started asking even more, like the memory. Make sure that you keep this in memory. I've started building my own private AI to backlog some of this stuff so I can access my documents in that. And the other fun thing is AI works great with Markdown. So if you have a project or you have a data store, start saving those conversations or start dumping stuff to Markdown. Put it in a folder that you have access to, or you can tie into AI, and then you're quickly searching your documents, which builds its memory and makes it better. So that's just one additional tip that I got from the conversation with Matt.
And that's, I guess I'll take that on as a bonus thing as well. Is that Markdown and JSON are very friendly with AI. It loves it. Most of what I've got, actually, Chip lives in the JSON and Markdown world. The nice thing is, JSON is a pain in the butt, especially when you start getting very complicated to hand edit. Markdown is really, really easy, and it's really easy to slap something on it so the Markdown actually looks good. So you can have a web page, you can have a dashboard, you can dig into details, and it looks awesome. And then it's super easy for you to tweak all of the content within there. The nice thing, and this is where I think for those of you that are like, I don't know if I got enough, I don't have enough power to have a full blown LLM running all the time or something like that, is it is very easy once you get into Markdown or even JSON, either of those, is to start building just normal parsers and searchers and stuff like that. You can use, whatever your language is. Probably want to keep it more like lighter weight, like a Python or a PHP, or you can use JavaScript node things and stuff like that. You can do all of the searching, you do all the filtering, you do all the stuff you need, and you don't have to touch AI at all. And that is the nice thing, is that you use AI to generate the initial stuff, or maybe you use it to, to do some summaries and things like that. But then you throw it out there, you can review it, you can sign it off, and now you've got this big. It's just document management at that point. You've got this huge repository, you've got all of this information, and it is amazing. Again, like, it doesn't take any time to search through that, even if you've got, granted, I'm not dealing with like millions of documents, but if you're talking about your business, then I do have stuff. I've got 15 years of status reports and stuff like that it spun through. It gave me all of the summaries I need to, and now I can just point it there. Could I make it faster? Could I throw it in a database? Yes, but you're probably not going to need that starting out. And I think Michael's like, I want to go back to that prompting thing. Is it's like, it really is if you. I get frustrated because everybody starts with prompting, and I feel like that's like, you're not pointing in the right direction. But the thing is the prompt is the key. It's the prompt. It's the how you do that. It's all the guardrails. The nice thing is as we've talked about somewhere along the way, I can't remember who we mentioned it with, AI will teach you how to use AI. So I very rarely write real prompts. What I do is I talk to AI and I say, this is what we're doing, and this is how we're setting it up, and these are all these things that we want to do, and this is our goals and stuff like that. And then in the middle, and then I'll say, give me that as a prompt. Or I'll say, a lot of times I'll say, I want to take this, especially if I'm on the cloud somewhere, some public thing. I'll say, hey, I want to take this, give it to me in Markdown so I can upload it into Chip, which is my, my local LLM. And it does that, and it knows what the formats are. And then Chip has very rigid structures and stuff like that. So that makes it very easy to sort through your, search through all your information and do all the things you need to do, including all your roll-ups and calculations. So that being said, I want to jump into the challenge for this week. And it is, if you have a side hustle, what is the thing that you spend the most time on that is not directly servicing a customer? Take a look at that. What is that process? What is that thing? And then how would you improve it? How would you reduce the amount of time? What is it that you spend the most time on there? What is it that causes you most headaches? Why is it that it takes that time up? And then what would be, if you could wave a magic wand, what would allow you to solve that problem? Maybe it's an app, maybe it's a script. I don't know. Maybe it is hiring somebody. But with doing that, then let's sit down with AI and start walking through that and say, here's my problem and here's how I want to solve it. And start asking questions and say, does this make sense? Does it not make sense? Are there other tools out there? Questions like that to get you from whatever your primary problem is right now and work on building a solution. One at a time, just pick one and start with that. And it's going to save you time. And then you can use the time you've saved to go do something else. If you're not in a side hustle, if you don't have something going right now, what is a product application that you would like to have, that you've had at some point? Because we're all developers, we've all had that. Oh, it'd be cool to do this. Even if it already exists, even if you're like, I had the idea for Candy Crush 10 years before it came out. Go make your own version of Candy Crush. Just something like that, just to go through the process and see what it looks like. Because I think you will learn a lot, whether you're working with Claude or GitHub Copilot or Microsoft Copilot or all of the other guys, ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, all of those. Get comfortable with working in that. See what it'll do. Yeah, it has limits, but I think we have more limits than it does at this point. I think we're more limited in how we think, and that's where we run into challenges. Thoughts on that before we wrap it up?
Yeah, the only thing I'll throw in with that, and this is just a tip for AI in general, as you're like building projects or building things with AI, have it write a markdown file that updates as you make changes. So kind of have it be your virtual assistant or your sprint master, and have it kind of keep track of the flow of what it is that you're building and doing. I just recently started doing that, and it turns into great product reviews, customer handoffs. But the key is it's searchable. You can put it back into your memory so you can come back and find it later. But the other thing is it really clearly lays out what you're doing, not just the commits, not just the prompts, not just the AI chat, but it summarizes it in such a way that you can just go quickly index it and go, here's where it is. The other thing I found was looking at that, I also found where the memory or where the conversation went the wrong direction. So I actually was able to correct my conversation to remove that and get it out of its memory so that it wasn't hallucinating as much, or at least throwing in ideas that wasn't on the main task.
I love that idea. That's something I use. It makes me feel like I'm part of, the Star Trek or something like that, where you sit down and you go, computer, let's do this. Because it is, I'll sit down and say, proceed. And I bring up the implementation plan and I say, let's proceed. And it'll go look at it. It'll say, okay, well, here's where we're at, or here's the 3 things we can work on. What do we want to work on today? It's like, or like how, like it's one of those kinds of things, like, what would you like today? Or what was the one, would you like to play a game of chess? Those kinds of things, because it really is, it has gotten to that point and it can crank through stuff. And if you give it, that is key, because you're giving it solid commands. You know where you're at. It knows where it's at. And if you make sure that it is updating stuff as it goes, you can figure out exactly, like you said, where did it go off the rails, or hallucinate, as we like to call it, which is usually us telling it something and we think we said something, but we weren't actually clear enough for the AI.
Now, hold on. You threw it out there. I'm going to throw this little trick out. Now, if AI asks you if you want to play thermonuclear war and it happens to be a Whopper, stay the hell away from it. Just go away.
Yes, you do have to watch out for those kinds of things, but I don't think you have to worry about it at this point, because that was like a TRS 80 or something like that. It was a very old school thing, and the interfaces have gotten too good for that now.
I know, and half our listeners probably don't know what the hell it is.
That is a 80s movie, I think early 80s war games. If you guys want to go check it out, Matthew Broderick, I believe.
Yes, same guy who played in Ferris Bueller's Days.
So when he was very young. I haven't seen it in a long time. It's probably pretty dated at this point, but maybe not. I mean, it's like, especially with AI becoming big again, and that's where it was. AI was big, what is that, 50 years ago? And guess what? It's still big. It's just advanced a little bit. We are going to advance a little bit into the weekend with you guys and let you guys dive into it. We're keeping it a little shorter this time because we've gotten a little long-winded in a couple of these. We're trying to give you guys a little more of your weekend back. So go out there and have yourself a great day, a great weekend, and we will talk to you next week.